when a young black couple in America faces shocking discrimination at their dream wedding venue. Their fight for dignity and love becomes a dangerous battle against racist hatred that escalates from threats and sabotage to arson and attempted murder. But will their determination to celebrate their heritage triumph over the forces trying to destroy their happiest day? Before we dive in, let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear your thoughts. "I'm getting married in 3 months and I'm terrified," Maureen cried, sitting in the luxurious office of Rosewood Manor in downtown Chicago. Her hands shook as she clutched the wedding contract. Her wedding planner, Jennifer, stood nearby, trying to calm her nerves with reassuring words. But Jennifer's face suddenly turned pale, and her smile vanished completely. "Maureen, we have a serious problem," she whispered, glancing nervously at the door. "The staff here, they don't want to host your wedding." Maureen's heart stopped beating. The room felt like it was spinning. "What are you talking about? We signed the contract. We paid the deposit. Mr. Anderson, the owner, he's been making nasty comments about your African traditions. I've heard him talking to other clients, saying your wedding will be too different for their reputation. Some staff members are even refusing to work that day." The words hit Maureen like a sledgehammer to her chest. She had spent months dreaming of this day, celebrating with traditional drums echoing through the elegant ballroom, vibrant Kent cloth decorating every table, and her rich heritage on full display. She had imagined her grandmother's recipes being served, her cousins performing traditional dances, and Jerome waiting for her in his stunning African attire. Now everything was falling apart. "But I've been planning this for a year," Maureen whispered, tears forming in her eyes. "This venue means everything to me." Jennifer looked devastated. "I know, honey. I've tried talking to them, even offered to tone down some of the cultural elements, but they're not budging." The door suddenly slammed open with a loud bang. Mr. Anderson, tall and intimidating with cold gray eyes, marched in with a stern face and crossed arms. "Jennifer, we need to discuss this wedding situation immediately," he said firmly, barely glancing at Maureen as if she wasn't even there. Jennifer straightened up nervously. "Yes, Mr. Anderson. Maureen and I were just going over the final details." Anderson's jaw tightened. "I've been thinking long and hard about this, and I've decided we cannot host this event." Maureen jumped up from her chair, fury blazing in her dark eyes. "This event? You mean a black wedding celebrating our culture and heritage?" Anderson shifted uncomfortably, loosening his tie. "Look, we've had complaints from other clients about the expected noise levels and unusual customs. Our reputation is built on elegance and tradition." "Unusual?" Maureen's voice shook with pure rage. "You're talking about African drums that have been played for thousands of years. Traditional clothing that represents centuries of beautiful culture. We cater to a certain clientele," Anderson said smugly, straightening his expensive suit. "Your type of celebration just doesn't fit our image." "My type?" Maureen felt her world crashing down around her. "Look, I'll refund your money, but we're canceling this wedding." But suddenly, the door burst open again with tremendous force. Patricia, the events coordinator, stormed in with several staff members behind her, all looking determined and angry. "Mr. Anderson, we need to talk to you right now," Patricia declared boldly, her voice echoing through the office. "We've been discussing this situation, and we don't care about noise or different customs. We want Maureen and Jerome to have the perfect wedding, just like any other couple who walks through these doors." Anderson's face turned bright red with rage. "What is this? You're just employees. You have absolutely no say in how I run my business." "Actually, Mr. Anderson, we do." Patricia stood firm, crossing her arms defiantly. We're the ones who make this place special. Without us, you have nothing. Maureen, we'd be honored and privileged to host your wedding. Every single detail will be absolutely perfect." Tears filled Maureen's eyes as hope flickered in her heart. She had found unexpected allies in the most surprising place. But Anderson exploded with pure fury. "Fine. You want to host this circus? Do it without me. I'll make sure no other venue in Chicago will touch you people with a 10-foot pole." He stormed out, slamming the door so hard the windows rattled, leaving everyone stunned in the echoing silence. Over the following days, Maureen and the dedicated staff worked tirelessly together like a family. Patricia organized everything with military precision, while the other staff members stepped up in ways Maureen never expected. But challenge after challenge kept hitting them like waves in a storm. First, the catering company called to cancel. "We're not comfortable serving African food," the manager said coldly. "It's just not our specialty." Maureen's heart sank, but Patricia immediately started making calls, refusing to give up. Then the florist backed out. "We heard about the situation," they said awkwardly. "We don't want any trouble." Each rejection felt like another attack on her dreams, another person telling her that her culture wasn't good enough. But the staff at Rosewood Manor rallied around her. They found a beautiful African catering company that specialized in traditional cuisine. They located a florist who was excited to work with vibrant African flowers and colors. Slowly, piece by piece, they rebuilt her dream wedding. Still, Maureen couldn't shake the feeling that Anderson was plotting something terrible. His threat echoed in her mind like a dark prophecy. The night before the wedding, as Maureen was doing final preparations, her phone rang with an unknown number. Her hands trembled as she answered. "You're making a huge mistake," a mysterious voice growled through the phone. "Anderson won't give up. He's not the kind of man you cross and walk away from." "Who is this?" Maureen demanded, but the line went dead. Minutes later, her phone buzzed with a chilling text message. "Look outside. Now." Maureen rushed to her apartment window and gasped in absolute horror. Orange flames were shooting high into the Chicago night sky. Rosewood Manor was completely engulfed in a raging inferno. She dialed 911 with shaking hands, barely able to speak coherently as she gave the address. Fire trucks screamed through the streets, their sirens wailing like banshees. But by the time they arrived, it was too late. Her dream venue was nothing but smoking ruins and shattered glass. Through the thick, choking smoke, Maureen spotted a familiar figure standing in the shadows across the street. Anderson watched the destruction with a twisted, satisfied smile on his face. "You did this!" Maureen screamed, running toward him with tears streaming down her face. Anderson's smile grew wider and more evil. "I'm just protecting my business and my reputation," he sneered coldly. "Your African wedding would have ruined everything I've built." "You're insane!" Maureen cried, her voice breaking with emotion. Within minutes, police cars arrived with flashing lights. Officers arrested Anderson as he tried to walk away casually. Maureen stood among the ashes and ruins, feeling completely heartbroken and defeated. But Patricia stepped forward through the smoke, her face determined and strong. "Don't worry, Maureen. We'll find another way. Your wedding will happen. I promise you that." Working through the entire night without rest, the team found a stunning outdoor garden venue with blooming flowers and towering oak trees. Within just a few hours, they had relocated everything and recreated the magic they had planned. But just as hope was returning, Jerome called from Northwestern Memorial Hospital. His voice was shaky and filled with pain. "Maureen, I've been in a terrible car accident. The police think someone tampered with my brakes. Maureen's blood ran ice cold. Was this Anderson's final, desperate act of revenge from behind bars? She raced to the hospital, her heart pounding with terror. When she arrived, she found Jerome lying in a hospital bed, bruised and bandaged but alive. She had never been so relieved in her entire life. "Jerome, I was so scared I might lose you," Maureen whispered, holding his hand tight and never wanting to let go. Jerome smiled weakly, but with love shining in his eyes. "I'm okay, baby. Just some bruises and cuts. But the police confirmed someone definitely messed with my car. They're investigating everything. We'll get through this together," she promised, squeezing his hand. "Nothing and nobody will stop our wedding." On the morning of their wedding day, Maureen woke up feeling like an African queen. She put on her breathtaking traditional wedding dress, a stunning creation of gold and burgundy Kent cloth with intricate beadwork that had been passed down through 3 generations of women in her family. As she looked in the mirror, she felt the strength of her ancestors flowing through her. But just as she was about to leave for the garden venue, someone knocked on her door. She opened it to find a small package with no return address. Inside was a crumpled note that read, "You'll never make it to the altar. Some people don't know their place." Maureen's hands trembled as she showed the threatening note to Patricia, who had arrived to escort her. "What do we do now?" Maureen asked, feeling panic rising in her chest. Patricia's face became set with fierce determination. "We don't let evil and hatred win," she said firmly, crumpling up the note. "We get you to that altar, and we make sure your wedding day is absolutely perfect." At the garden venue, which had been transformed into an African paradise with colorful fabrics and fresh flowers, Maureen saw Jerome waiting at the altar. He looked incredibly handsome in his traditional African attire, a rich blue and gold dashiki with matching pants. Her heart soared with overwhelming love and joy. But in the back of the crowd, partially hidden behind a large tree, she spotted Anderson. Even though he had been released on bail, he still wore that same cruel, hateful smirk on his face. Maureen took a deep breath, lifted her chin with pride, and walked down the aisle with her head held high. She absolutely refused to let hatred and bigotry destroy the most important day of her life. The traditional African drums began to play their ancient, powerful rhythm. The air filled with the sweet, spiritual scent of burning incense. Family members from both sides started clapping and singing traditional songs. Children scattered flower petals, while elders offered blessings in multiple African languages. Maureen and Jerome stood before the minister and spoke their heartfelt vows, promising eternal love, respect, and partnership. Their words echoed across the garden as birds sang in the trees above them. When they finally kissed as husband and wife, the entire crowd of family and friends exploded in joyous celebration. They were finally, officially married. But just as the reception was beginning, Anderson pushed forward through the crowd, his face twisted with pure rage and hatred. "You people think you've won something here?" he sneered loudly, trying to disrupt the celebration. "You'll never be truly accepted in this city. This is just one day." Maureen stood tall and proud, her voice strong, clear, and unwavering. "We've already won everything that matters. We found love, acceptance, and support in each other, and in people who truly care. Nothing you do or say can ever take that away from us." The crowd cheered loudly and powerfully. Anderson's face turned purple with fury and embarrassment, but Maureen and Jerome just smiled peacefully, knowing they had each other and the support of people who mattered. Under the beautiful starlit Chicago sky, surrounded by family, friends, and their new extended family from Rosewood Manor, they danced to the ancient rhythms of their ancestors. Their love had conquered hate. Their courage had defeated fear. Their determination had overcome every obstacle. As they looked deep into each other's eyes while swaying to the music, they knew their bond would last forever and grow stronger with each passing day. True love always wins over hatred. Understanding and acceptance defeat ignorance and prejudice. With determination, courage, and support from loved ones, we can overcome any challenge life throws at us and find true, lasting happiness. Love conquers all. Share this story to inspire hope and courage in others fighting their own battles.